It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books in the entire world with our good friend Drew. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Wes. I'm a very busy guy, but I do make time to talk about the best comics of the week. So let's talk about these very best comics of the week.
I think there's no other comic book to start with other than Absolute Batman number 10 from Scott Snyder and Nick Dragota. It feels like Scott Snyder has taken his big dumb Batman, but he levels him up in this issue. This is the best issue of Absolute Batman. It's the best issue of anything Absolute. It actually supersedes those issues of Absolute Wonder Woman that I thought had been better previously, because this thing is an absolute mind screw. It reads like an episode of Tales from the Crypt or something, as you see this Bruce Wayne that's been captured by Bane. He's in Arkham. He's got scientists and doctors looking on him. They're doing experiments on him. It turns out he's 6'9", 420, and he's got all these booby traps in his body. And the things that they're doing to him over time, it's like a house of horrors.
I'm so glad you said Tales from the Crypt, because when I was reading this, I was thinking to myself, if this whole issue were done as a straight horror story, if this were played straight, I think this would be something really special, and I would agree with you that this would be the very best of all the Absolute books that we have reviewed. But I really don't think Scott Snyder realizes that he's being unintentionally hilarious. Like, don't get me wrong, I do get a kick out of seeing he's got all these booby traps sewn into his body, but you can't read that with a straight face. You can't. I'm laughing out loud reading all these things, all these impractically large items buried in his body. How can you read that with a straight face? You can't. He's kind of leveled up Bruce Wayne at the same time, because I think originally he was like 6'4", 6'5", 200-something pounds. Now he's like 6'9", 450 pounds. It's like he's gone from just a bigger than average guy to like unfrozen caveman football linebacker. It's ridiculous. But I do get a kick out of this book. It is unintentionally hilarious. It is over the top, hilariously stupid, but there are some great horrific elements in this book. I do agree with you. When we see those monsters, I love it. And what's going on with Bruce, we see that the green stuff built into his body. It's great stuff. But I really wish it was played more horror than comedy.
I don't think this thing could have been played more horror. I don't think it's really a superhero comic book right now. It's been a horror book for about 4 or 5 months. And it is over the top. There's no doubt. Him removing his own teeth to use them as knuckle dusters is pretty wild. Him having a tube in his stomach so he can spray people with his own stomach acid. But once you get into the bowels of Arkham and you see the other experiments and what's going on there, and you meet this new version of Clayface, and you see this weird version of Poison Ivy, and then he continuously keeps fighting Bane and getting his absolute ass handed to him. There's some things here that definitely need to be explored. I'm more interested in it now than I was before this issue, but I don't take it too seriously because it is so far over the top. It's insane.
But I do agree. When we get to the latter half, that's where the great stuff is. That's when we really get to the horror elements. We see all these experiments conducted on all these people, how they've been transformed, as well as what potentially one of Bruce Wayne's friends. I do love that stuff. That's where the real gold is. And it's really, I got to call back to Scott Snyder when he was working on Batman in the New 52, when Batman is trapped by the Court of Owls, when he's going through that bad mind trip, and you got to turn the book around and everything. It's kind of similar to that. But unfortunately, the comedy in this, the first half of this, the over the top, if it was more concise in tone, I would say this is the best of all the Absolute books.
Tip of the cap to Nick Dragota. I don't want to leave him out of here.
Yeah.
I don't think this book works, and this issue works without his art.
Absolutely. Yeah, he is a superstar, and really he does shine in the latter half of this book. I really feel like that's where his calling is in doing monsters, because how he illustrates a lot of like these, I don't want to spoil them, but they look fantastic, and I really feel like he wants to get into the horror stuff, and I really hope we get to see him spread his wings out more, pun intended, with some of these monsters. So
that was absolute dynamite, in my opinion. Easily my pick of the week. But we do have some indie comic books to talk about. We're also going to recommend G.I. Joe #9, Josh Williamson writing, Andrea Milana on art. The bulk of the story continues to be Baroness and CoverGirl in Paris. Last issue, we saw Vulture arrive. We know he was doing that on behalf of Major Blood. Now Major Blood makes it to Paris, and things are not going well. They get captured pretty soon. They get thrown into a pit. And it turns out Major Blood has all the leverage in this situation. He gives them an impossible choice, which I thought was really compelling stuff. And that's not even really mentioning too in depth the Clutch Transformer stuff that's also going on, which I thought added some really fun levity that the book really needed.
I do love the tone of this book, because it's got some great subplots going on here. And I love the humor. I love the action. The interiors of this, they're great. CoverGirl and Baroness on the run from Raptor. Then we got that Psycho Blood on the hunt as well. The ladies come out on top. Got to read to find out. And yeah, I do agree. For me, the best part in this book is the stuff with the Transformers, tying into it with Hound and Clutch. Him needing Energon and getting ready for a potential conflict soon. Hopefully a huge conflict coming soon. I can't wait. And we get a great twist with one of the survivors of the Starscream attack. I'm not going to spoil what happens. It's great. I got a huge, huge kick out of this book. And like you said, at the end of this, CoverGirl and Baroness, they're in a pit. Only one's got to come out on top. Who's going to win? I don't know. Get ready to find out. Strong recommend for G.I. Joe #9. Terrific read. Terrific series.
Just love the Energon universe. It feels like they can do nothing wrong. But speaking of Skybound, and the man that's going to be writing Transformers soon, Battle Beast #3, Robert Kirkman writing, Ryan Ottley on art. I still love this series. It's a little bit more slower paced than the last two issues. I think they're trying to flesh out the relationships between the onboard computer, this weird alien that's been half digested that has a mech suit now, and Battle Beast himself. But there's still plenty of blood and gore and battles going on here as we're finally getting over to the home world of the half-digested alien and the creature that was able to basically destroy his entire world. Lots of fun here. Love the Ryan Ottley art. It really feels like he's back where he wants to be because he's delivering better than he ever did at Marvel.
Absolutely. I really feel like he is hitting his stride right now. So issue 1 on a whole, I thought it was okay. Issue 2, I thought it was getting a bit better. But issue 3, I really feel like this is the best issue of the 3. They found a solid, cohesive balance between the art, the pacing, and the dialogue. I love the dialogue scenes in this. They're which are hilarious and over the top. With the destruction going on in the background during the conversations, I love it. I can comfortably recommend this issue and suggest people check this out. Ryan Ottley, yeah, you can tell he is having fun. F-U-N. Illustrating this, and I hope we get to see more of him on full display with this. He's a terrific storyteller and cartoonist.
And I think Kirk was doing a damn good job making that computer come to life, and you kind of feel it for him. He just can't kill Battle Beast.
Nope.
Also going to recommend Redcoat #13, Jeff Johns writing, Brian Hitch on art. Normally, this is more of a comedic book, not a comedy book, but a superhero style book with comedic elements to it. This one is actually played very straight, a very serious book as the Northerner finally calls out Redcoat on his BS, saying, hey, you never choose a side and you never had, heavily insinuating that he knows him in the future and knows the path that he's going to go, and challenges him, hey, stop acting like you care about this slave girl that we have here. You don't care about anyone but yourself. You're going to play the South. You're going to play the North. And by the end, after all is said and done, Redcoat finally does make a decision. Simon Pure picks a side. As a change of pace, it was really, really interesting.
We get to see some real growth with Simon Pure here. He has to have a reckoning with himself. Is he going to continue imitating Switzerland, or is he actually going to finally take a side and get involved? And yeah, he just made by the end of this issue. It's fun seeing him react around the futuristic weaponry to him, not to us. His debates with the Northerner and the art by Brian Hitch, once again, top notch. The best part, the very, very, very best part, the very end of this. What we're teased, hell yes. Take my money now. Let's do this. Strong recommend for Redcoat #13. It's still, Ghost Machine books, all of them are fantastic across the board. If you're not reading these, if your LCS is not picking these up, tell them to pick them up now.
And it does appear we will be getting an unnamed universe crossover event involving Geiger and Redcoat and some other titles out there. Very exciting stuff. Yep. Moving over to Marvel, we've got one comic book to recommend. Marvel Knights, The World to Come, #2, Christopher Priest writing, Joe Quesada on art. This does not happen very often, Drew, but I actually have not read this comic book. I read the first issue. I wasn't completely interested. It was at the end of the read pile, and I never made it there. Apparently, business picks up in issue 2?
Business does pick up in issue 2, and we get an explanation as to the new heir of Wakanda, the new king. We get to see, how he came about, and sure enough, it involves Everett Ross. And this issue is an example of someone who's intentionally being funny as compared to Scott Snyder, who I think was unintentionally being funny. Christopher Priest here has a great sense of humor, and it's on full display here with Everett Ross, with him in hell and his wife and her family. I'm laughing out loud, Wes. This is all great stuff. And we get like I said, the origin of our new White King of Wakanda. And wow, he's got one massive chip on his shoulder. I'm totally on board with this, and I cannot wait for what comes next. It's going to be exciting and hilarious. Joe Quesada, he's doing a solid job here with the art. I am surprised he still has it in him to do solid interiors. You can tell he is not phoning it in. He's having fun. Pages look great. Fight scenes are terrific. Strong recommend for Marvel Knights: The World to Come #2.
Well, maybe I need to check that one out and make sure I read it before the weekend's over. But we do have one final comic book to recommend. DC Comics, Robin and Batman, Jason Todd #2, Jeff Lemire writing, Dustin Nguyen on art. The sequel to the series from a couple of years ago, focusing on Jason Todd, and he and Batman are not getting along at all. It turns out there's a new vigilante in town, and he's going a little bit farther than Batman. He's willing to kill criminals. In fact, he thinks Batman's weak and holding Jason Todd back. And Jason Todd at one point even asks him, "What do you think I am?" He says, "You're a weapon, son." And he offers him the opportunity to come train with him and really start taking out crime on the streets of Gotham. Definitely an enormous character insight into Jason Todd in his early days before he obviously becomes the Red Hood later on.
The Wraith is one of my favorite villains in Batman lore. His great first appearance, which was back in the 80s. You see how he's the other side of the coin from Batman. How you see it's played out, how it's written, the story is told. You see Bruce's origin and you see the Wraith's origin, and just how they kind of just went on similar but different paths. And it's great. I've been having a blast with this series so far. We have a damaged Bruce Wayne who may have rushed too fast into getting a new partner, and he didn't really realize just how damaged emotionally, mentally, maybe physically Jason Todd is. And we got the return, like I said, of one of my favorite rogues, the Wraith. He has a great confrontation with Batman, and could he potentially be recruiting a sidekick? You got to read to find out. Yeah, and of course, we have one of the best moments between Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. I won't get into it, but you need to check it out. And art by Dustin Nguyen, he is on full display here. If you're not familiar with his style, it's pencils to watercolors, and it looks fantastic. Him with the dialogue by Jeff Lemire, it makes for a fantastic comic. Strong recommend for Robin and Batman, Jason Todd #2. And hopefully you guys will be able to check out the back issues of The Wraith. He's a great villain.
And if you like Nightwing, you get the George Perez original collar-up version.
Yeah, Disco Nightwing.
He's going to be the Disco Queen. Yeah. So, Drew, you are going to be at Terrificon next month. And it sounds like you have some wonderful wares that you would like to share with the viewers.
What you're seeing right now is the Terrificon exclusive for Unholy Nightmare, #1, by future superstar Matt Wilson. This was not traditionally illustrated. Rather, it was made via using household items lying around his home in his garage. He's done several covers like this, like for Something That's Killing the Children. So this is our new rogue, Insane Jane, on the cover, who will be appearing in issue 3. But this will be her very first appearance and cover appearance. And the best part of this, only 50 copies printed, 50. That is it. And they can all be double signed by Matt and myself at Terrificon next month.
If you appreciate what you just got here, but it wasn't quite enough for you, we do have the Hot or Not podcast exclusive on Think Critical Patreon, where Jim and I run down every single book. If you have not checked that out, I do invite you to come visit us and see what we got over there, because I think we have some podcasts that you're going to love.